Good evening, folks. I see a few of you loading in. This is the Binghamton University Admissions Open House, and tonight we're going to be discussing navigating the virtual college process. So we do appreciate you folks joining us. I know there's been a lot of sessions going this week, so hopefully you had some time to pop in different sessions. Tomorrow, I know there's a big one with financial aid happening, so if anyone has any interest in that, make sure you're signing up for the last couple of sessions we have going on tomorrow. Again, this is the Binghamton University University Open House. So it's kind of towards the tail end. We've been having sessions all week. Tonight, we're going to talk to you about navigating admissions in the virtual world. So again, we want to thank you for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with some introductions here and some housekeeping rules, and then we'll go from there. Marlo, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Marlo Cohen. I am the Long Island Admissions Counselor for Binghamton. I also want to share that in addition to being an admissions counselor, I am an alumni of Binghamton. I went on to have a whole career actually in the health world. And then I came back and found my home again back at Binghamton here, being part of this admissions team. And I have to say Binghamton has been a lifelong part of my life all along from getting there until now. And I have to say it's nice to be back and see that it was great when I went, but it's even exponentially better now. In addition to that, I have 6 kids that I've gotten into college. Some of them are in college now, some have graduated. So I've done this process many times. And also I have a child at Binghamton. So I really wear a lot of different hats, but hopefully that will allow me to share with you as parents, my feelings towards the process and help partner with you because I've walked in your shoes and where we are now and how we continue to partner with our parents and our families. And hopefully you'll find this helpful this evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, and again, welcome, folks. My name is Byron Gittens. I'm the Senior Assistant Director here at Binghamton. I am regionally based in Connecticut. I am from New York City, from Queens. I've been in Binghamton now since, this is my second year, so a little over a year in my second year. Been in admissions for 11 years. I was working at University of Maryland College Park before this, and before that, UConn recruiting international students from Southeast Asia and South America. So in the admissions field and in these public Ivy research institutions, if you will, Binghamton's certainly the #1 public in New York. We have 64 state schools and we're right at the top there. So tonight, again, we're going to be talking to you more about navigating the virtual process, which is something new. Obviously, this is a new world for quite a few of us here. Definitely the parents and the students, I'm sure, are feeling it because they're used to seeing us at a college table. That's what they're used to seeing. So we're going to start off with a couple of polling questions here, and then we'll have one at the tail end as well. So the first one I'm going to launch here in a minute is, after attending this session, how do you feel about navigating? Well, no, let's skip that. That's the last one we're going to use. Let's start with the first one. How much do you know about the virtual college process? So you're going to have 3 options here. I want you to be able to go ahead and take a look at these and vote. We'll give you a couple of seconds here to vote. Again, how much do you know about the virtual college process? So pretty good. Okay, so a good handful of you know a lot of it now, and some not much, but you're going to learn about it. So that's okay. So let's go to the second one. I got one more before we get into this. This one's going to be, how has your child been connecting with colleges, universities virtually? Examples could include like meeting with admissions counselors, attending these virtual sessions like we're having. We just want to kind of get an idea of how you've been working through and if your child or you have been connecting through. So let me go ahead and launch this. Okay. And it could be a couple of things. For the ones that said yes, and some say sometimes, some folks don't know how to. So this is a good reason why you're here tonight, is to kind of learn how to. And especially if you're not sure what to be doing, that's what Marlo is going to kind of be talking us through. The chat is disabled. So I will tell you, if you have questions, you are able to put those in the Q&A. I will be in the background, able to answer any questions as she's presenting. So again, the chat is disabled. If you do have questions while this is going on, please feel free to go ahead and type them in the Q&A. Okay, Marlo, I'll turn it over to you.
So thank you again for joining us. And for those of you who may have entered a little bit late, again, my name is Marlo Cohen. I am the Long Island Admissions Counselor. I'm also an alumni from Binghamton, and I guess more importantly that I'm a parent. I too have lots of kids. I have 6 kids. Some of them are in college, some of them have graduated, but I've done this process. I did not do it virtually, I will admit. When I was doing it, it was a little different, but just like you as a parent, trying to learn how to navigate, how to partner with your children in this. We're there to help you to know that we are still here, even though it's a virtual world, on helping to guide you through this process. So I know as we started this virtual world back in March, for many of us, it was craziness. We didn't know what to expect. Maybe some of you still are not familiar with all the virtual platforms and technology and the word Zoom. I think most of us didn't know that word long before now. It's a little daunting. I think a lot of parents and some students are sort of not sure how could you possibly navigate getting to college, being in college in this virtual world. And it seems at first off-putting, but we're here to help you, to show you that hopefully we can change that nervousness and the intimidation factor and take it away and show you that it could be a very different experience when you really look at how far we've come since March and how we've really been here to try to make this as seamless as possible. You know, the end goal is as you go through this process and get to the other side of it, as your children get their acceptances and commit to college, that you will see that you can make this a happy journey. And I'm so happy to have parents here to remind you that, you know, the feeling of you embarking on this with a smile on your face and saying, okay, we got this, let's do this together, will only help take some of that nervousness out of this process for your students. It's important to see, and I'm sure most of you may already be catching on, that when we thought about going back to high school virtually, how is that going to happen? And these kids, they're amazing. When I do visits and I'm on the computer with them, they're more tech savvy than me. So maybe even letting your student know, you know, you lead me, help me to see this. And together, when they see that they may have a head up on you in terms of doing the technology, but you know other things about the process, that partnering together will only take you both through this journey with a smile on your face and an end result that will be successful for all of you. I think it's important to go back a minute and look at the process last year for our students who are now in college versus this year. People say, oh, the world is totally different. But let's look at the process. Let's look at a comparison from last year to this year. So here's a side-by-side for you to take a look at. Last year, making lists of colleges where your kids are going to apply to. This year, guess what? It's the same. Talking to your school counselor. I'm sure the kids walked into the offices and talked to them last year, and this year they're still doing that. For some it's in person, some it's online, but they're still talking to their counselors. College fairs, I traveled a lot last year. This year I'm not really traveling, but I've still been to over 70 different college fairs. We're still going to high schools and fairs and meeting with students. Your ability to visit, you can still visit a lot of colleges, and we'll talk more about how you can do that. Reaching out to admissions counselors, look at something like this. We're online, we're actually able to talk to you and communicate. That was last year, it's this year as well. Creating a timeline of applying, I'm sure you're still doing that. And again, completing and submitting the application, that one's pretty obvious. It's always been online over the last several years, so that doesn't change at all. So in the end, when we compare last year to this year, what is the difference? What is the difference between the two? I think at first it seems like it's very different, but as you start to look at the various pieces, you will actually see that there's not a huge difference at all. In fact, it would be better to approach it as, what's the advantages that we have? Being virtual has a lot more to add to it than you may initially think. It may at first seem daunting and intimidating, but there are so many advantages of a virtual wall. So when you look at the virtual world, think about it. You can visit more schools. You don't have to take off from work or get in your car, spend money figuring out how to map out which colleges you can hit. You can be from your own home and visit 1, 2, 3, as many colleges as you want. In addition to that, you can actually also meet with different representatives from different colleges by signing on for information sessions, chats, one-on-ones. There's a lot of ways to really experience in college over and over. You can go on websites and explore. There's lots of recorded presentations that you can hop on. Look at this. It's a Friday night. It's raining where I live. You're able to be part of our school and be part of a program that maybe you wouldn't have had the option to join us for an open house if you couldn't make the trip, or to schools that you might be looking at across the country. So this virtual world actually gives us a lot of advantages of things that you could do from your very own home. I also want to point out that our campus is thriving. Kids are up there. The kids the year before your kids who got in and came. These are just some of the images I like to share. There's still activities on our campus. On the top right, we have a fly fishing club, and they're doing it social distance with masks and being part of campus. Kids are in their dorms studying, taking classes. On the bottom left, those are some of our tour guides helping with orientation planning. We want to make this seamless, and we want to show you that behind the scenes, we're not missing a beat. We continue to be supportive. We continue to build programs that can exist in a virtual world. Again, the process does remain the same. So we ask you to partner with your students, your children, to really tell them this could be an exciting time. This is an exciting time to take advantage and embrace the energy that you see from attending presentations, listening to recordings, letting them know that college is still going to be there. It may look a little different, but you know what? You have so many opportunities to continue to go and thrive on a campus. Education is still there, whether it's hybrid, in person, or virtual. Your children have worked so hard to get through high school, to go to college. We want them to be excited about the journey ahead. And here's our campus. Things are going on. Everyone's being careful. Kids are still experiencing freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. Things are being held Zoom-wise. All of your students probably know and have already attended many Zoom sessions, whether it's in their high school or college fairs. We've even had a whole job interviewing process and job fairs on our campus with hundreds of companies, and students are landing jobs through that platform. So from the process to getting to college, through the journey to graduation, there is so many advantages and ways to embrace this virtual world. So what are you going to do in this process? Let's go back again and let's talk about the process. I know some of you in the poll did indicate that you're not sure how the process works. So just some important things that we want to share with you in making that process easier. Making a list. It is super important that your children sit down with you, maybe their high school counselors as well, and start making a list. You make a list of schools that are of interest. Maybe it's schools that have the academic pathways that they want. Maybe it's schools that are in a certain region that they want to be in. Maybe it's a school they're familiar with. But again, making a list of schools that maybe are safety schools. They fit their academic progress in high school. Maybe there's schools that they're right on target to their GPAs and their rigor. And maybe there's reach schools, but it's making a list of all different schools that may be of interest for this process in applying to and consideration of where they might wind up. Maybe there's a backup plan. Maybe there's schools that are definitely high on their list, but really making a list together to go over what's important in figuring out which schools are the ones that they may wind up for their four-year journey at college. In addition, you want to make note of important dates. It's important to make the dates and take a list of when is early action deadlines. Are there schools that have, early decision deadlines? Is their decisions released rolling? There's so many things to take into consideration, but if you map out the dates, you won't miss those important things so that all documentation will be in so that you meet those deadlines. Here at Binghamton, we have early action. So November 1st, we had students submit their applications, and they have till December 1st for all the documentation. If your student didn't do that, that's okay. They have till January 15 for regular decision to get all that information to us by then to hear back in March. Again, making timelines and understanding what the dates are is going to help make this process less stressful. Signing up for virtual events. That is probably one of my favorite. Being able to be at home and get the real feel of being on campus, take a look. Here at Binghamton, we had an open house for a whole week in October. But guess what? We've done it again in November, and we're going to do it again in December. We want you to be on our campus as many times as you want without actually leaving your house. Maybe your child is interested in a very specific program. Maybe it's our School of Management. Maybe it's our nursing program. Sign up for the virtual presentations about those schools. There are ways to be involved and really sit through a presentation that's very specific. In the real world, when you are driving up to a campus, you may have not get to go to all those events, but you can sit with your child on the computer or do it separately at a time that's convenient to you. There are many ways to listen to pre-recorded sessions. So again, signing up for virtual events, whether it's open houses, whether it's info sessions, encourage your students to do high school visits. I log on several times a week over probably 70 or 80 different high schools, as do all the other admissions colleagues in my office. And we visit high schools virtually, and students get to talk to us and ask their questions. Really an important part of this process is not missing that and getting them excited about the college journey ahead. Reaching out has always been there, and I have to say we're still here, but it's been actually nice that on the virtual world, reaching out is not just an email. It is not just hoping to show up at the same fair we are or a high school visit, but now the ability to reach out and come to our chat hours, reach out and schedule a one-on-one. We actually have one-on-one appointments with every admissions counselor in our office where your student can have that time. As a Binghamton representative, I live on Long Island and I handle Long Island. That's a very big population in our school. When I would go to a high school, I might meet 70, 80 kids at a time. It is so nice to me and refreshing that I've been able to put names and faces together. I talk one-on-one to students, which I never had that ability to before. Even when I do a high school visit, the kids have taken off their cameras and been able to put on their cameras, been able to talk to me face to face and share things about themselves and ask me questions about my journey at school and my journey as a parent. It's been really nice, and we encourage them to continue to reach out. We want to know that we're the right fit for them and they're the right fit for us. And that communication effort is so valuable in really building that connection long before they get here. And of course, last but not least, completing and submitting the application. Again, if you take a timeline and you take the time to encourage them to go online and approach the application in a timely manner, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And then with ease, they can just submit it online, Common App, Coalition App, or SUNY App, and send that in, and they're on their way. But again, we can do it easily by helping each other navigate even in a virtual world. Again, the virtual touch, like I said before, has been really helpful for us. As a bigger school with about 13,000 students, sometimes you feel like you don't get those one-on-ones. But again, the interactive platforms have been amazing. I think so many students have been grateful. I've met with parents and students together on one-on-ones. I had a couple of parents come to a high school visit that I held after school because they wanted to hear the information. Being interactive has been wonderful. So again, whether it's our school or any school, take advantage of these platforms where you can talk one-on-one. Take advantage of asking questions in the chats. Take advantage of visiting schools over and over so that you become more comfortable with what we have to offer. Touring dorm rooms, touring campuses, being part of programs. We encourage you to do that. Hopefully that's something, if your student is more comfortable than you, sit at the computer with them, share in that participation. Maybe they can set you up online, or if you have a student who's not that comfortable, you can show them the way. Of course, the virtual touch also allows us to save time and money. So instead of, again, having to take off and figure out how are you going to take a bus or a train or drive to visit a school or fly for some of you, you can save that by being able to do this from the comfort of your home. And virtual tours. We have aerial views and videos where you can see a whole overview of our campus. We have tours downtown. We have tours on our campus into our labs, things for you to see. But again, hopefully saving you time and money, as you don't have to take those trips and get in your car. And so it's really nice to be able to do that and save you. And again, visiting over and over, which I think is always the best part. I've had so many students say that they've come so many times to different sessions and they're really getting a real feel for the campus. It's really about experience it all together, being there and partnering with your students and making it feel that it's really not different than it was before. And there's advantages to it. And we want to help our kids to see the advantages of this experience. And there's so many positive things that have come out of this, ways that we can connect on a level we didn't before, encouraging them that you're in this together. And I do think by doing this, it is going to make it a better journey for everybody, a little more familiar. And again, we've eased from March till now, and I think that's going to continue. I think it gives your children an opportunity to see that you can actually do this more as a partnership. And we always say that we partner with students when they get here. So we're happy to partner with you now in helping them to get to this journey. I hope that hearing some of these tools and some of these ways takes some of the fear out of it. And that as you embrace this virtual process, you will see that it is something that we've all in this together. I've been on Zoom presentations where my camera doesn't work, but yet we've all been able to go with the flow. There are students who can't hear me during a high school visit, and then they'll put it in the chat box. we're all in this together. It's been a learning process, but one in which I think the students have actually taught us as admissions counselors, and we've taught them. It's been really a collaborative effort, and I think that's the one thing that's really come out of this, that I really think it's actually been on some levels an easier process, a more personal process. Instead of just getting an application with a student that I may never have met, I know a lot of names and faces. I've got to interact. I've got to see what gets them excited about college. And so we care about your students, and we want them to be excited to share their passions while we share our passions. And I do think on a virtual level, it has become much more dimensional than before, when it was just, an email with no actual personality to it, or really not getting to know really what's important in the process. So I really encourage you to stay a part of it and understand that you can take, your nervousness away and smile and do this together, and know that you got this. And we're here to encourage you and your students that you've got this. Byron, I want to come to you because I know there's some more polls and questions. So I'd like to be able to.
So we had one question here, Marlo. I'm going to go ahead and I'll let you answer this, but then I have some links to share with them as well, just because of the time's sake. We still have a little bit of time here. But one was, can you give one thing you feel is extremely important for applicants to know to help in getting accepted?
Look, I think that the importance is that your application tells your story. And I think it's important that when you're putting together your application, that you kind of almost have your child think of it like a storybook, right? So as we look at the application, there's so many different parts to it that we're going to look at, that you are given the opportunity on that platform to share who you are. So I encourage them to tell their story. We get to know about them by the rigor of their classes. We get to know about them and their successes by their GPA, and or if they decided to submit test scores, because we are test optional this year. But you know what? The essay gives them an opportunity to tell us about who they are, their activities, their letter of recommendation. So look at the application really as a way to tell us as much about them as you can. Again, you tell us your story, we'll be able to better see that you're the fit for us and we're the fit for you. So again, it's just important to just be who you are and share as much information in the different platforms so that we get to really know them. I think that's what matters, that be comfortable with who you are and share, as much as you can.
Yeah, very good. Folks, if you look in your chat box there, you'll see I've been putting some links in there, links that I think were probably pretty important for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit through it. So a couple of things. Being in the virtual world, obviously, when I graduated from high school in Queens, I had 4,000 kids in my high school, and there was no process, really. My guidance counselor told me, Mr. Liederman, where do you want me to mail the transcript? And I said, well, let me start searching for colleges. I was sent to the library. I had a big, giant book I was told to look at for four-year colleges. Maybe some of the kids, you sat them on it at the dinner table to use as a high chair. But yeah, there was no virtual process happening where I could even email anyone. There was no cell phones. We're talking about the 90s here. So when we talk about all the things we have now to connect, yes, Marlo did an excellent job explaining. We were in a world where we would come to your high school, we'd be behind the table, your counselors would see us, but nothing's changed. So it's the modalities that have changed. Everything is still happening. I will tell you some things that I found that counselors and students are liking. They're able to reach out to more schools that maybe, they weren't able to before. We travel in different territories. We're looking for out-of-state students. So we have one rep here who is reaching out to schools in Hawaii. Not that we never, looked at those schools, but we weren't sending people on airplanes to Hawaii. But now we're able to have visits and students are able to learn more about Binghamton. Some of these links that I gave you, another thing, a lot of times when I'm talking to students at a table or a counselor, I'm not able to do this, like cut and copy these links and provide you with them so you don't have to be searching for this information. Some of it is the student outcomes, which is in there. Where are these students ending up after they leave Binghamton? I mean, did you know when you're out searching at some of these colleges, parents probably do know we want to be looking at what some of these average starting salaries are. Luckily for Binghamton, it's $60,398 for the bachelor students. We want to know what kind of majors and professors we have teaching these majors at the institution. Luckily for us, these laptops that we're on, or if you're using a laptop, that ion lithium battery that's in the back of it, Dr. Whittingham won a Nobel Prize for that. He actually teaches chemistry here at Binghamton. So some of these things are astonishing to know, but you can find them by researching these institutions and asking these questions. Retention rate, what is the retention rate of the university? I mean, a lot of time when you go and visit, you'll hear something, but you can kind of go to their website, you know, in the privacy of your own home, or you hear something and you want to learn more about it and just click on a link. For Binghamton, luckily it's 92%. That's above the average. The national average is like 73. So that's above average. Some of the things I put in here is the major minute, where you can actually hear students in different majors talk about the major at Binghamton for 1 minute. So if you're thinking you want to be in actuarial sciences and you have no clue what this is, not understanding that that's tied to like risk, investment, you know, insurance policies, someone's got to figure out how much to charge people in an insurance pool. So those are things that are going on behind the scenes. You got to be probably strong in mathematics if you're going to be involved in that. But students talk about those things. So make sure you're looking at those major minutes. Residential living and learning, probably wouldn't have known this, but Binghamton, the good thing about the housing here, they're all houses in the sense that they all have their own cohort. Themed traditions, very similar to Harry Potter for your kids if they've watched that at some point, or you've sat down and watched it with them now, especially since everyone's at home. Yeah, they have a collegiate professor that's responsible for some advising within those. So students that are coming here to the university, they're already going to have an experience about that. But I also put one thing that we're very excited about is we always had a video or something where students can kind of see about Binghamton, especially if they weren't coming to the campus info session or showing up on the campus. But Campus 360, you can do a virtual tour. I put that link right in there for you. You can walk through the market, you can walk around campus, you can go inside a dorm room, all of that stuff. That's something that Binghamton said, you know what? We have videos, we have other things, we have a self-guided tour when people show up, but we don't have anything virtual where people really can do a real live walking tour through campuses, hear stories, and see places. So that Campus 360 I gave you, I encourage you to definitely explore that. The other thing we've been able to do is a lot of times when Marlo and I are out on the road, we don't have a student with us all the time that we can say, I mean, we run into a lot of Binghamton alumni, but if we're at a college fair or at a high school visit or at a special event and we're talking to you, great. Marlo's an alumni, she's been here, I'm not an alumni, but sometimes students want to hear from a student, someone that's kind of just maybe graduated, currently at Binghamton, kind of in the mix, can kind of still have that conversation with them, know the slang when they're all talking amongst each other. We've had a lot of student ambassadors, current students, be able to join these virtual events with us that we've been doing to kind of talk to students, like live right here on the camera. This is something we would not be able to do if we're doing our daily high school visits or at college fairs. So I think the process, again, it's the same, but it allows you to kind of meet with us. We have one-on-one sessions that we do in admissions, appointments you can sign up if you go to our visit page, where you can talk to any one of us for 15 minutes. We have Zoom chats where you can drop in a parent, a student, anybody, and talk to a counselor between the hours of 10 to 5. Not only are we doing it, but financial aid is doing it as well, and other departments on the campus that we felt needed to step up and do this kind of thing. So I will tell you this, you know, things are going to get better where, you know, folks are, you know, going to the campuses, students are showing up. Luckily for Binghamton, we're the #1 public. So we do get 40,000 applications for 3,000 seats. So the students have not stopped coming towards us. They're still running in this direction, but we're appreciative of it. And we want to be here to help you. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time. We appreciate you being with us tonight. Please reach out to Marlo, myself, any of the counselors here if you have questions. I got one more poll I'm going to put in here, and let's see what this one says now. Okay, so this is the wrap-up question. And then I think I see one more question in there, and we'll answer that before we wrap up. But here we go. So after attending this session, how do you feel about navigating the virtual college process now? Okay, so we have two people that still feel the same. Some feel better. Those folks that feel the same, We expect to see you next week in one of our Zoom sessions talking to us so that we can get you to feel 100% better about this, okay? So continue to reach out, continue to ask questions, and we are going to be happy to help you. Everyone have a wonderful night. Don't forget tomorrow's financial aid meeting. Can you please provide an overview of the acceptance process at Binghamton? Okay, so real quick on this one, I'll go ahead and answer that one live for you. Someone put a smiley face. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're test optional this year, and that's been touched upon maybe in some other sessions, which means that we're not test blind. So if you do submit the SAT or ACT, it's going to become part of the application. We are looking at students that are early action first. So those students who apply by November 1st, November 2nd. We are reviewing those applications. Once they're completed, you have till December 1 to complete them, as Marlo has spoke about. And then we will be making the decision based on a lot of things, folks. We're looking at the transcript. We're looking to see if you did rigorous coursework within your institution. And when we talk about rigor, if your school offers AP, if they offer honors, some schools have IB, International Baccalaureate curriculum. Some students have dual curriculum through a college. Some schools have Judaic studies, which is dual curriculum as well. We're looking at a whole host of things. We're looking at what your counselor wrote about your student, the teacher recommendation. We're reading an essay. We don't do one-on-one interviews for the application. So the student's whole file is going to be part of this process. So we're looking to make sure that we have students on this campus that will thrive at Binghamton, being the #1 public in the state. We want to make sure it's not just your academics, but you can be a leader on this campus, okay? We certainly want to make sure that you have extracurricular activities. Yes, last semester you may have not had, but what happened in 9th grade? What happened in 10th grade? Are you involved outside the school? Are you involved in any clubs or organizations? Are you working a part-time job? I had to work part-time at Pathmark, leave Queens, get on the N4 to the N25 to get out to New Hyde Park to be a cashier for $4.50 an hour. That was my job. That's what I was doing, okay? Pathmark isn't there anymore. But Marlo probably knows, but yeah, so that was my job. So we're looking for leadership roles. We're looking to see that you're involved. So there's a whole process here. It's not just one thing or the other. So hopefully that was helpful for you folks. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us, and do reach out to us if any questions.
Definitely reach out as much as you need. We're here to answer your questions, so we don't want you to feel the same. So I'm also hoping to hear from you as well, answer your questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, take care. Have a good night.
Good night.